These are what I've been waiting for. They're tuning peg tools. I'm trying to keep this a low-budget project because it's really just an experiment, and I have only the most rudimentary knowledge of woodworking, so my expectations are not high. But I spent a little money on these because tuning pegs are critical, and there's no way I could match tapered pegs to tapered holes without them. Many years ago, it seems like a lifetime now, I was drawn inexplicably to the religion of my pagan ancestors. I was a true believer. I wrote and I attended seasonal celebrations in honor of the Germanic gods. I learned the runes and I studied rune magic. Ritual objects were important. I made this drinking horn back in the early 1990s. And these are bloat bowls. This is the bowl that we would use at larger bloats where guests were present. The smaller ones were for personal use. One is given to Ylfa, the elves, the other to Freya. It's a replica of an ancient Germanic harp that I'm attempting to make, like the one found in the grave of a pagan Alemanni warrior who lived in the 6th century. I started with an old mahogany plank that my dad had given to me a few years ago. Funny the things you remember. So many boards and assorted pieces of wood have come and gone into propping up this old house over the years that I can scarce recall where they came from or what I used them for. But this one was from my father, and I remember that. When you create a thing with your hands, you imbue that object with something uniquely reflective of your vision, your ability, and your consequence. But you also instill that object with a reference point for those that come after you, a bookmark in the passage of time. For a novice like me, the router is a challenge. I have no idea what I'm doing. The router wants to spin out of my hands. I'll be lucky not to route out a piece of my leg. I'm not really sure why I'm doing this. Maybe it's pent-up creative impulse forcing its way out and demanding concessions for decades of neglect. I've always wanted to be creative, but was too fearful of others to learn anything properly. I'm uncomfortable asking questions or asking for help. I've pretty much taught myself everything I know, and it shows. At first, I wanted to use a higher quality tone wood for the soundboard, but I couldn't find anything that wasn't so thick that I wouldn't have to plane it down myself, and I don't have a planer, or was so damned expensive that I couldn't justify the cost. I'm using a piece of cherry that I bought online. It's a little shorter than I wanted. but it's otherwise a useful compromise. My son, Ilya, helped me with the project, and I wanted to make sure that he knew that I appreciated his work, so I'm having him sign the inside of the body. Once signed, we'll glue it and clamp it together. To compose its final form, I used a variety of tools: files, sandpaper, a small hand plane, a couple of different saws. It makes me wonder how the builder of the original harp was able to court immortality with such accomplishment, leaving behind, for the ages, an understated monument to a distant time and place. So I'm impatient. And at this stage, with it functionally ready to go, I really want to hear what it sounds like. I love a high-quality finish on wood, but I hardly have the patience to do it myself. I'll try my best to be patient, but I know I'll cut corners. Returning to the question of why I'm doing this, there was a time when I identified with the spirituality of singing Galdr to harp accompaniment. But over the years, I've lost that sense of the intangible. Maybe I'm trying to recapture some of the mystery that fed my spirit when I was younger. I don't really believe in anything these days, and that sense of wonder has turned into a search for distractions. Maybe that's what it is. But I suppose I do believe in hope. In fact, I'm hoping right now that I'm using these tapering tools correctly. Let's hope that they hold under tension. And here it is, the finished harp. As I predicted, I did cut corners at the end. As you can see, I carved the bridge and tailpiece, but I did not stain or shellac them. I also had to sand the button portion of the violin pegs because they were brushing against each other, and I didn't take the time to smooth or finish them. So here we have a bookmark, an object linking me to a point in time. I will never be able to leave much behind for my family. Hell, I'll probably never be able to retire short of a lottery win. But at least there's the harp and the memory of its creation.